What was your name, by the way?
Diane Martin.
I'm Steven.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Stephen.
Nice to
I
meet
hope
you,
you are a
Diane.
Democrat.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm a Canadian-American dual citizen conservative libertarian, to be specific. Yeah.
This country has just gone down the drain.
How so?
Well, look what's happening. Donald Trump is the most despicable. I don't even have words or adjectives to describe this man and to see what he's done. And knowing what I came from and how I saw my country deteriorate under corrupt African rule, which it did, unfortunately. I mean, there's no getting away from it.
First off, do you disagree with the fundamental premise that the United States is the best country in the world?
No.
You don't disagree with that?
I disagree with it, yes.
Okay, so what examples of countries would you say are superior to the United States? I guess to start, before we get to how much you dislike Trump, and I understand that.
Korea, they've got
South Korea?
South Korea, they've got an incredible standard of education, the highest in the world. We don't have we have one of the lowest standards of education.
We don't have a great public education system, I'd agree.
Terrible.
You have one moment. Hey, Jared. Let me know. You need to be the one to let me know when. Okay, sorry.
And
okay, so South Korea.
Okay, that's one issue is education. The other thing that I feel very, very angry about at the moment, but it's been there always in this country. There's a lot of hatred and divisiveness that Trump literally scratched the surface of. It's always been there because I've felt it as an immigrant. People have told me to go back to South Africa if I didn't like it here. So it's not the greatest country in the world.
As far as now, let me sort of present. Let me present why I think it's the greatest country in the world. Is that freedom, equal opportunity, the ability to pursue happiness.
Equal opportunity.
And in South Korea, do they have freedom? What's free speech like in South Korea?
They're allowed to speak freely. And what about Europe? Europe, a country like Holland, I've lived in a lot of places.
Freedom of speech doesn't exist in those countries.
In Holland?
It is not constitutionally enshrined. There are hate speech laws where you can be jailed or fined for saying something offensive. In every country you've mentioned, they do not have freedom of speech.
Do you think hate speech crimes are actually acceptable?
I think that freedom of speech, the First Amendment, is to defend precisely offensive speech.
It's not happening here now.
What's not happening here now?
Because we are not allowed to speak out, and we're attacked, and the press is attacked for being fake news. So is that total freedom of speech? No, it's not.
Sure. I'm talking about people being fined or put in jail by the government for speaking out offensively. Hey, my point is I would protect your right to say anything.
Yeah.
And so these other countries that you named, they don't have the same constitutional freedoms that we have.
But is our Constitution such a great Constitution?
Yes.
I'm glad you think so.
Oh, if you don't think so.
The Second Amendment, I think, is the most archaic and the most ridiculous part of a constitution that went back to the 18th, 17th century.
What are gun laws like in South Africa?
Very strict. And you know
no
why?
Gun crime, right?
Very little compared to what's going on here. Very little.
Very little crime in South Africa compared to the United States?
There's no mass shooting. People do not go into schools and kill students. It's never happened, okay? It may be one-on-one, and it's happening, yes, with the farmers, but it's gangs.
Crime is far greater in South Africa, and you also can't protect yourself against tyrannical governments. So I would actually argue that South Africa is a precise reason for the Second Amendment, so that we don't have a government like South Africa, as you just mentioned. But I appreciate you taking the time. I don't think we're going to find a ton of common ground there if you don't like the Constitution, but it sounds to me like you might prefer these countries.
I would. I actually am having second thoughts about, I've been here 20 years, and I'm having second thoughts about living here anymore.
Oh, I wouldn't discourage you from doing that. That's not me saying get out. That's me saying if you think that they're better countries and you're not a supporter of the First or Second Amendment, you might be happier in one of these other countries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time.